So let's just open our hearts, take a breath, and Spirit, our hearts are connected to that source of all good, the source of healing, the wisdom behind our learning, the courage in leading, the givingness in serving. We are here as a divine expression in infinite ways of good, knowing it is not I, but the Christ within that does the work. And so it is. And will you help me speak our invocation? The words are up here on the screen. Together? There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. Thank you. You may be seated.
Raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. To know you, oh God, I'm raising the veil. I want to see you, oh God, I'm raising the veil. I want to hear you, to feel you, oh God, I'm raising the veil. I want to praise you, oh God, I'm raising the veil. I want to love you. Raising the veil between me and my God. No separation, no distance at all. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. I'm raising the veil. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart. God is right here in my heart.
Thank you, band. Beautiful. Y'all know Jen Chada filling in for Kim Char, yeah. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Mark. And thank you, Mark. It'll be your job to figure out which is which. Any of you guys big dreamers? Let me just pause for a moment. Can you hear me okay? Okay. I have always been a big dreamer. I'm talking about like at night when you're sleeping. And oh, you thought the other kind. Yeah. Those are fun too. Those are even more fun. But I'm talking about when you go to sleep at night. And it's one of those things where, for me, it can just be totally random thoughts that make no sense to me, and I'll wake up and I'll remember them and go, what the? Yeah, you just don't really know. So I had one this week, and I thought, that kind of fits in with what I'm about to prepare for my Sunday message. So I thought I better share it with you. So there is a method to my madness in sharing this total craziness. I was out in a field of long, beautiful grass, and I was doing a Sunday service. There were people out there just standing, listening, and some of them were family members. And early on, they got mad at me for something, and they left. And as they left, other people went, I'm leaving, and they left too, and the crowd went down, and then suddenly there was a whole bunch of new people that I'd never seen before. And as they came in, they didn't seem to notice that I was actually doing my message. So they're just kind of wandering around. There's no walls or anything. It's like just kind of this known room. Anyway, they're wandering around looking at stuff and trying to figure out where they are and what they want to do and whether they like it or not, and kind of making judgments here, there, and everywhere. And this woman shouted out from the back, "What's your talk title?" And I thought, oh, man, I don't know what it is. I better look at my notes. But then I couldn't find my notes. Okay, and then, of course, I couldn't remember what I'd just been talking about, so I couldn't remember how to keep going. And in the meantime, this other woman said, well, hey, I'm going to get up and talk. So she came, stood in front of me, and even though it was long grass, the earth started to shift under her feet, and it was like a doorway or something that she was standing on, and it suddenly tilted and threw her off. That's something I had installed just for those kind of experiences. And it opened up to this cavern underneath where there was this religious statue that was laying on its side, which had been left over from the previous church that had been there with its own theology. So I thought that's probably, reason why they're not here any longer. That's not our theology. Close the door on that. And then suddenly this adolescent, we'll say, kind of came and plopped himself down in the grass right in front of me, and he was mad. And it turns out he was mad because his twin brother was not getting enough attention. Nobody was listening to his twin brother. And just so you know, this looked like Jim Bog from the Waltons. Anybody remember that kid? I don't know why. So he was upset about that. And then I noticed that there was some commotion going on in the back corner. Group of people, and as I got closer, evidently a gun was involved, and I got a little nervous. As soon as we figured out that somebody had a gun back there, somebody took me by the shoulders and kind of dragged me out of harm's way. But I thought, no, I need to be part of this. So I started heading back that way, and as I'm ready to get involved and kind of see what's going on, I realized I could die any minute here. I wasn't really trained to deal with this kind of a crisis. Don't let that scare you. Yeah, sure, we'll never face anything like that. So I'm not really trained, but I'm going in anyway, and I'm okay with dying. That's fine. I really had no problem with that at the moment. So I'm walking in closer, and as I get in closer, we notice that it's not the guy that has the gun. He's got like an 8-year-old son, and the son brought the gun with him to church that day, and nobody really knew why, and we didn't really know if he was upset about anything. So I realized this could be a very tenuous situation, but still, I'm going in, I'm going to see what I can say. Now, realizing I didn't really know what to say, I just started talking. I don't remember what it was that I said, but I'd say part of a sentence, and then the word spirit would come out of my mouth. Then I'd say another sentence, and the word spirit would come out of my mouth. And then I woke up. Oh, man. Yeah. I know. That's how dreams work, right? So I laid in bed for a while thinking about all that craziness. I was actually pretty orderly compared to some of my dreams. As I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about the guy with the gun. It's like, what would bring someone into a church with a gun? What would his need be that wasn't getting met? And why did he think he was going to get that need met here by giving a gun to his little boy? And how would that turn out? And then I started thinking about the people, especially the new folks that showed up, and how they seemed to be kind of dissatisfied and didn't really know what they were looking for and not really all that happy about their experience there. And I kept thinking, well, what were they looking for? Why were they coming to a spiritual community? And how can we support them? And I suddenly realized something that we created here in Unity clear back at the beginning 18 years ago. For those who became members of Unity, they had to attend a member class. Anybody here attend a member class and go to become a member? Okay, so you might remember that during the process, as we're explaining what membership is about, I had these ideals. If I could have a member behave any way that I wanted you to, what would it look like? And there was, yes, it was very selfish of me, but it's worked out well so far. So the ideals that came to mind were things about consciousness, about relationships, about stewardship, and about personal growth. And I wondered, after having that dream, how those ideals would actually help us get through experiences like that in our congregation. And I want to share one area in particular today from consciousness. The ideals of consciousness, that if we lived accordingly, that this spiritual community could only thrive. But the cool thing about these ideals of consciousness are that they apply to our personal lives as well. So it's not just getting along in spiritual community. It's being able to go out and deal with life and all that it has to throw at us. Nightmares, you might say. How can these ideals of consciousness support us? The good news is they're based on spiritual principles, which are eternal, they're absolute, they never fail, no matter what kind of experience we're faced with. So we're going to talk about those today. Might be a little reminder for some of you as members. Doesn't matter. You don't need to be a member. You don't need to want to be a member. I just want you to hear these ideals of consciousness that are meant to not only help us get along better in community, but also get along with our own personal lives and all that's going on in them. Are you ready for that? Okay. So the first thought, the first truth that came to me in defining the ideals of consciousness was up here on the screen. Let's say this together. God is the source of unlimited good. There's only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. That sounds familiar, right? But the first sentence there, God is the source of unlimited good. Right there, you should take a breath and go, thank God. Right? Take a breath. What a relief. God is the source of unlimited good. You know what that means when you're in community? You don't have to depend on anyone else here. We, as a spiritual community, don't have to depend on any certain specific person to provide our good, because the ultimate source is God. And that source is infinite. It's always giving of itself. There's never a shortage. Now, in order for it to express its infinite good, it's going to need some channels to work through, which is our work. But the good news is we can relax and know that whether we're in this community or whether we're working one-on-one with life, we always have enough good to go around. It doesn't matter what's happening around us. You know, something that Jesus told us, that it's God's good pleasure to give us the kingdom. When he said that, he wasn't talking about a storehouse in heaven with gold. We're talking about a dimension of spiritual energy, spiritual substance, divine ideas. That's the realm of heaven where we draw our good from. Again, we can relax now. Whew, what a relief. No matter what we want to do here in Unity, no matter how many things we want to create, no matter how much money it costs, the first thing we do in consciousness is settle into that knowing. No matter what the economy says today, we're going to settle into that knowing that God is our source of good. Does that sound good? Okay, the second truth in our ideals of consciousness, this is what we continually hold in our mind and what we live from and what informs our decisions, is this. Let's say it together. Our heart holds the wisdom that will guide us, and love is the key to hearing it. So, not only is there one presence and one power in the universe, there's one mind. And right now, I would love for you to just take in the thought that we are points of awareness in the mind of God. God is thinking, experiencing life through our awareness. Isn't that cool? Maybe a little scary, maybe a little hard to believe, but still, there's really only one mind here. And we all share in it, we participate in it, and we can either listen to it, listen for it, or we can let the ego decide, our decisions to make. So wouldn't it be nice if we turn to our heart and we think of that heart as the presence of God within us that is guiding our way? You might call it the Christ or your source, the creator, the highest being in you, but it's also coming with every answer that you are seeking. That's true in the spiritual community when we're trying to make decisions. We remember first, turn to our heart for that wisdom. And there will always be an answer. How many times, let's put it this way, I've been in a lot of churches in my life, and I've actually seen, if you can believe it, conflict in church. It's kind of weird, because you think about going to church as a place where everybody loves one another and we're all very kind to one another. But one thing that is kind of in the back of our minds is you can't be fired for misbehavior like you could in the office, right? So sometimes we come into this situation with no rules, and we're very focused on what we want, individuals want, and so we give our opinions, and if other people have different opinions, boom, we might start to knock heads together. I've not seen that here. If I have, it's gone in one eye and out the other. We've dealt with it. Really, the only time I can see conflict is if I were involved, because I screw up. And there's some of you here who know that. So my point is, how can we, when we're in that situation and we're feeling that knocking going on, hear that inner wisdom? Because that energy of conflict gets in the way of hearing, right? So that's why the next point in this truth is important. Love is the key to hearing wisdom. Well, how the heck do you get to love when you're in conflict with somebody so that you can hear your wisdom? Well, how about going back to the idea? Usually we get in conflict because it feels like somebody else wants something that could take my good from me. Often, right? Would you not say that's kind of why you get into conflict? They want one thing and you're wanting something else, and they might take your good. But if you go back to that first statement of truth and remember God is our source, and I don't have to depend on anyone to provide my good, doesn't it give you a sense of relief? Doesn't it want you to, or help you to be more giving and allowing when you're in conflict? Because you go back and remember, oh wait, it doesn't really matter whether we agree enough. There's enough good for all, and I'm not dependent on them. Does that make sense? Y'all should be jumping for joy right now, because this is not only a way to work with your spiritual community, but everyone in your life. Every conflict we have, we want to remember, okay, love is the key to hearing my wisdom here. How can I go to love? Because I know they're not my source, because I don't depend on them for my good. And we made love one of our values here at Unity. So let's read this together. First of all, here's the definition. You defined love this way, up here on the screen. Love is desiring God's highest good for ourselves and others. Love sees good everywhere and in every person, respecting individual differences and embracing our uniqueness. And then we came up with a paragraph that describes why we chose love as a value. Let's read that. We choose love because it's the foundation of happiness and is the all-inclusive nature of God. It helps us to know God and to be God. The energy of love raises our vibration and causes all things to work together for good. So take that in for a minute. And what I want you to notice is that the love that we are seeking to be is already the natural extension of what God is. It's also the language that we need to speak from in order to hear the language of God. That's why we say we have to align our consciousness with the energy and the ideas, the mind, the wisdom of God's love, so that we can also be able to hear God's infinite wisdom. Does that make sense? He works, oh, did I just say that? Wow, it's been a long time since I used the word he for God. And that's okay. He, she, whatever. Today we'll call it he. All right. So God works at a frequency of spirit, and that frequency is moving as an energy that's higher than our human experience, right? Do you understand that? Yeah. So if we're trying to get to health, if we're trying to get to abundant good flowing in our lives, if we want to know the answer to something, we get to move into that state of love, which is basically allowing, accepting, appreciating, gratitude. Now we're singing at the energy of God. Now we can hear the voice. Now we can hear the wisdom coming to us. And it's not necessarily easy when you feel in conflict, but go back to that thought first. Oh, wait a minute. They're not my source of good. Now, what does Spirit have to say? How can I just accept them for a moment? We still may have to work together, make decisions. So listen, feel, allow, do what your heart says feels good. Okay? Our third truth here today, let's say this together. We have nothing to fear. If God is for us, nothing and no one is against us. Yeah, that kind of goes in with the one before that, right? God is the one power. Its nature is love. So there can't be another power to be against us. It may appear there is. People can choose to do things that feel like they have power. They may have more power in the office. They have more power in politics, in the government, with their money. But if you keep turning back to the truth and away from that belief, it doesn't matter who they are or how much power they seem to wield. And if it's going in the opposite direction of where you want to go, still doesn't matter. As long as you count on the one power of love and wisdom, you will always have what you need. There's nothing to fear. Put your hand on your heart. There's nothing to fear. What kind of things do we fear? Anybody? What kind of things do people fear? Lack of freedom, the unknown, shortage, scarcity, rejection. Yeah. Sickness, getting sick, what? Violence, yeah. And that list of things can apply to us individually, and some of those things can also happen in community that we fear. What if I go and become part of this congregation and it turns out there's a bunch of conflict? I don't want to be part of that. What if I go in and they actually ask me to do something that I'm not able to do or I don't have enough resources to do? What if there's some pushy people? What if I just can't find a way to contribute? What if nobody talks to me? What if I have nothing in common? Okay, so all of those are forms, beliefs of fear, fear-based ideas, error thinking, we say. So we come back to this truth. We have nothing to fear because God's the one power and it's for us. The only way that that power cannot be for us is because we're over here giving our power to the problem makers. Only they're not the problem makers. Because we're giving power to them, we're the problem makers. And we're doing it to ourselves. Okay? So, the nothing to fear comes from an understanding of the power of God. And once again, we don't need to fear others. God is the source of our good. Okay? So this is going to work for us whether we're trying to get along in spiritual community, trying to get along at work, in our families, whatever it takes, be mindful of this. In that one truth, that one presence, we can trust that we will never be judged by spirit. We will only be loved and upheld. And if that source of good is constantly giving of itself, we can relax in knowing that our provision will always be here. Now, again, provision comes through channels. And each one of us can be that channel. But it's hard for us to give of ourselves if we're afraid of running out. So that's when churches and that's when individuals get into trouble, is they get afraid of running out or not being enough. Our work, number one, is to establish a consciousness based on spiritual truth. And that spiritual truth is about being open-minded to all that God is and to other people. I mean, it turns out that some of our good may actually come from other people that we thought were different from us, but it wouldn't hurt us to just try it and see. It's like what you say to your kids first time they eat oatmeal. Yeah. So I don't know where that came from. But one of the values that we chose for our community is open-mindedness. Over here on the wall, we decided this year in our world would be a good year to keep focusing on open-mindedness. And up here on the screen, let's read its definition together. Open-mindedness is a willingness to entertain new ideas and consider a broader vision. And this is how we behave when we're open-minded. Together, I am flexible when presented with new or uncomfortable ideas. I listen and consider the possibilities in different perspectives. I respect the opinions of others. When we start to live from that state of consciousness, we find less and less to fear from one another or from ourselves. And the final truth in establishing a consciousness to live from is this. Let's say this together. With God, all things are possible. Say that again like you mean it. With God, all things are possible. This is where it gets really fun. This is why your spirit came to earth. To get into a vehicle called a body, to use a tool called a brain, to put in the back seat that part of ourself that we develop called an ego or personality, and instead trust that with God all things are possible. And I think in my dream, as I was starting to talk to the gunman and his son, or the gun boy and the father, interesting. Okay, so when we start thinking of, how to address this, and the word spirit kept coming out of my mouth, to me it was just a reminder, this is your source, this is your power, this is your intelligence, this is your love. So whatever you're saying, Kitty, includes spirit in the conversation. Whenever we as a spiritual community are trying to create something new, we keep coming back to spirit. That keeps coming out of our mouth as we're trying to decide what to create. Now, good news, if you learn how to put the ego in the back seat, you'll realize that the source of your creativity is that mind and heart of God. So keep coming to spirit for the ideas. The ego is pretty much adamant about, I'm in charge, but I don't know how to solve the problem. I'm in charge, but I don't know how to find those resources. Or I'm in charge, but I hate starting new things. So it's like, okay, well then perhaps you should just be quiet and sit in the back seat. Spirit, what have we got here? What are we open and receptive to that will create something new in our life? That's why you came, my loves. You came as spiritual beings to have new experiences that you can't have in the heavenly dimension. And it's an opportunity to try, to taste, to be, to explore in wonderful new ways. And the good news is you can always come back to this truth. With God, all things are possible. All things. How fun is that? So while the ego will resist, you just keep reminding it, spirit is here. Spirit is in the midst of this, and just keep putting them in the back seat. There's no limits. We can create together. Have you ever noticed how you get together to make something happen, and it turns out that everybody has different ideas that all just seem to fall into place? And that you couldn't have done it if all 4 of those people hadn't been in your group? Have you ever seen that happen? Wow, good thing they showed up. I would never have thought of that. With God, all things are possible. So that's the foundation of our consciousness, is to make sure that we're turning to God for source, we're turning to God for wisdom, we're turning to God for love, for ideas, for peace, for assurance. We can have a lot of fun. And we do have a lot of fun here. I got to say, you guys are so good. I really enjoy being in spiritual community with you. And I'm grateful to see that you're excited enough to be here on a regular basis so that you can then take this information out into your life and start practicing it, because that's what it's all about. We actually have some folks coming in today as new members. And I would say that if you've been here long enough, you know, unity is just one path of many paths to God. And people who choose to become members usually are ones who resonate with this path. You feel like you can understand these spiritual principles, that they matter to you. And they don't, the rest of you who have not become members, anybody watching online, you don't have to be. Everybody is welcome here. We want you all to come and just enjoy yourself here. Take advantage of everything that we have to offer. Those who are becoming members are usually the ones that say, love this place, I belong here, I want to help make sure that it's here 10 years from now, 20 years from now, whatever, however old you are. And the thing about members is they're coming in not so much to get at this stage, but to give. So there's some attitudes going on for them that say, I want to deepen my spiritual life. And we hold our members accountable to that, to make sure that they are taking advantage of the classes and the events that we have that will help them do that. But also that they're going home and having experiences in their own time of prayer and meditation and study. You won't just be doing it here at Unity. Members are also giving time in service, in volunteering. And by the way, you don't have to be a member to do that. Members are committing to regular financial support of their spiritual community, and they're also being mindful about dealing with love and integrity in their relationships. Sounds good, right? A lot of times people hear the list and they go, I don't have time for that. And I think what members find is that when they make time for their spiritual life and put it as a priority, that all those other parts of their life, their family, their work, their pleasure time, all falls into place because, as Jesus said, as you seek first the kingdom, all the other details will take care of themselves. They'll just naturally unfold for you. So I'm going to invite our members to come up here on the stage, and I'm going to bless them with an anointing on the palms of their hands. And the right hand is anointed for the spiritual work ahead, and the left hand is anointed for the physical work ahead. And I use the symbol of the circle. I'm going to ask, who's my helper today? Would you run on my desk and bring in my little jar of anointing oil? Thank you. So this symbol of the circle that I put in their palm is a symbol for God. Have you ever heard that? As a matter of fact, there's an old saying that says that God is a circle whose circumference is what? Nowhere. So there's no edge to God. And whose center is everywhere. Usually when we think of center of something, we think of the most full part of it. So think of the fullness of God everywhere, and this circle reminds us of that. And also that center of the circle is an infinite source of power for us. It is what provides all our good. And that's what reminds us of our natural state of wholeness. So, as I call our friends up here, I'm going to invite you to just hold them in your heart in light as they come forward, and then we'll bless them, and I'm going to ask you to do a blessing with me. So, first of all, I'll call you by name, and do you want to bring my oil to me? Jennifer Chada, come on up, and Goldie Matthew, and Jacob Weiner. Let me get this out of the way. I'm going to ask all of you to bless our new members up here on the screen. Let's say this together. Come on, stretch your hands out this way towards him. Welcome, new members. We're inspired by your willingness to grow in spirit and grateful for your commitment to support your Unity community. Together, we bless you with divine wisdom, abundant good, and infinite love as you shine your beautiful light and reveal your divine potential in wonderful new ways. And so it is. God bless you. Thank you. Jill, go ahead and give them their gifts. That smells nice. I think that's myrrh. Frankincense. I can never remember. You can be seated. Thank you. Yay. So let's take some time to just settle in here for a minute and allow that warmth to just flow freely through us. As you feel that chair resting underneath you, feel its strong support of you. And realize there's an even stronger support in this room. It follows you wherever you go. Take a moment to feel that presence. This presence of infinite good is your unlimited source, providing your supply. Always ready to give of itself. Take a deep breath and relax in knowing that. Draw your attention to your heart. Not just your physical heart, but the core of your being, your true spirit. God expressing uniquely as you. Your spirit's personality is pure love. And this same presence of love is in every person you meet. Take a moment to just sense that in all the people of your life. Sense that presence of love waiting to greet you. Just breathe in and relax into that truth. And as your heart warms up in the presence of that love, trust that every question you have is already answered there. The wisdom we seek is ready to give of itself. Allow that feeling of gratitude to fill in right now as you may have a question in your life. Start with gratitude for the infinite wisdom in your heart. Thank God. Every answer I seek is within me. Take a deep breath and feel the relief of that. And as I know, this one presence filling heaven and earth with my supply, with divine love, with unlimited wisdom, I know all things are possible. Whatever my life calls me to, I give thanks. I've already received the wisdom, the resources, and the love to bring it into expression. Take a deep breath. What a relief. All things are possible with God. What a relief. We thank you, Spirit, first, last, and everything in between is the infinite goodness of God expressing as we allow. Just ask yourself, are you ready to allow? Allow that yes to bring a big sigh of relief. There's only God, there's only good. And I am grateful. This is the truth of my being. And now I let it be. And so it is. Amen.